So it should be recording now. Cool, brilliant, excellent. Right, so what we have here is a little scene that I set up, and see if it will play. It might not play at full speed now. Moment. So this is kind of just a quick little rig that I set up in After Effects. I'm going to show you how you can do something similar. And okay. So what we have here is a little character. Actually, obey me here now. So what we have is a little head turn on the character. And that's actually done using this little system here. So it means you kind of program your character with a bunch of these little control points. Let me select them now. So say this one here. This is the head here. So if I go like this, that's that one. It's the importance of labeling things. So there's the head here at the top. I see as I pivot this little control point, it turns the head. And so it does kind of a little bit of a funky business in the middle because it's more of a stylized head than anything else. So you can have to choose the keyframes that work. So going from that one, let's say, to that one. Does the job. Actually have them labeled here as well, but in addition to this, so if I was to do this, bring the head over there, there's a little thing here I have that basically lets me flip the opacity of the I need to change this. So you change this down to 0, and it'll flip the nose. So it's basically flipping between one version of the nose and another version of the nose. So you can control when you want the nose to flip over to the other side. If there are issues with the head and how that works. Similarly, so it goes left to right, but it can also go up. And down. So the difference between, say, doing this with a rig and doing it, like drawing it, the main point is that drawing it, you kind of just draw what you need. So often it can be much quicker to draw something the way you want it to be, just use it to the extent that it needs to be used. But the benefit of having a puppet like this is that you only really need to set it up properly. And then once you have it set up, I'll zoom in on his head here. Once you have it set up, then you basically have all the permutations that you need in order to animate a character very quickly without having to draw. That's one of the main benefits of using something like a rigged character versus a drawn character. There is a certain amount of kind of research and development required to figure out, okay, well, what actually do I need my characters to do? What are the limits of the rig? And is that an issue, or is that something that is manageable with the performance you need for the character? Um, so yeah, similarly to the, see, I might just reset the head back into the default. Maybe front. Cool. So that's like the front-facing version of the head. We also have a few different positions for the mouth. So the mouth opens like so. And it goes into like an open mouth. So you can have a couple of different options for all the different mouths, but it's basically only created from 5 cardinal points. So you have this mouth here, this mouth in the middle, which is just like a normal closed mouth. You have this mouth at the top, which is like an O shape. And then you have this mouth at the side here, which is like a kind of a shape, or like a wide kind of downturned face. And then this one over here, which is kind of a smaller version of that. I also have things like this. I think this is the eye, the left eye. This is the eyelids, or the eyebrows rather. So this eye goes up and down depending on what you need it. I might just bring this into the middle first. Okay, so basically you have the eyebrow here, which has a few different shapes as well. And the benefit of working After Effects is you can keyframe things, and then After Effects will interpolate it, the difference. You'll translate the position from A to B, and you can fine tune the timing of it and the speed of how it interpolates those positions using either your temporal graph or your motion graph. And those are these little things here. And so this is kind of maybe a bit more advanced when you're working the fine tuning of quickly editing something without having loads of keyframes. These things are kind of beneficial here. For this kind of style of animation I'm doing here, it needs to be quite bouncy and kind of flipping from one position to another quite fluidly, but with a little bit of a cushion. So I'll just revert this. This guy again. So if I go back to the endpoint here, you can see basically that we have those boxes are moving around, and they're having a translating effect on the face as well. So the brows are coming down. Then the eyes are going up a little bit, the brows are going up, the eyes are opening, and it's quite a snappy open. And then the eyes settle down along with the brows. So you can kind of like coordinate things quite nicely doing this kind of stuff. The main difficulty, of course, is that it requires a little bit of preparation. Let's see, for the head turns and kind of deciding the design of your character. This stuff works actually very well if you're working with more complicated, or at least the motion graphics elements, which are kind of complicated, but aren't necessarily like character animation. Because you can control those cardinal points, that like up point, that down point, that left point, that right point, and that center point to create a kind of 3D effect. Just give me a moment there, and I'll just play this through. See if it makes sense for you. Play. Go. And there's additional little effects you can do with adding like the little zigzags. You can actually use those with a stroke effect in with a vector line. So with your pen tool. But yeah, there's many different ways you can kind of control these things within artifacts. You can use the vector tools, or you can use more masking, or kind of keyframing and frame by frame work as well. Let's see now. Oh, did it end the call? I think it did. Yeah, am I still live? Oh, okay. Yes, it is still live. Sorry, I just had hidden the elements there at the top. Cool. So yeah, as you can see, like this has some benefits in terms of being able to set rules for things and then quickly work your way through it. Once you have set those rules or established those rules, and you know it's going to maintain a consistent design, consistent interpretation of those rules. But it can be a little bit inflexible if you need something to have, say, a bit more expressiveness, or there's some like custom shots that need certain things done in them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I did this using this. You can do it actually with scripting, but there's a handy plugin you can do or use it with as well. So the easiest thing to do is I'm going to duplicate this guy here. Actually, I might just drop him into a composition as a reference point. Okay, so then go to like the 2-second mark when he's facing forward. Right, so what I did was I created all this in After Effects, and I'm just gonna kind of redo it here such a little bit, maybe a little bit simpler. There's one shape, and I'm gonna have it have a outline as well. So put the outline up to 5, and fill not that awful color there. Do something like an eggshell. Maybe fill it like 15. And this is just so it has a little bit of a thick line that you can work with. Cool. I can show you a longer version or more complicated version I did of this as well, using the same methodology, but it's I wouldn't recommend. It was kind of as a test to see how far I could use it before it kind of becomes broken. So mainly what you do is you work with individual objects on different layers, and then from there you build your element. So we might call this one, say, head, and then if I do a nose, like say this, something that works a bit better with asymmetry, this one would be nose, and then I could do an eye like so, and this one is eye. So I'm going to only do one eye for the moment because I'm actually going to duplicate the eye in an attempt to be more efficient. Next thing I'll have is a mouth, and actually for the mouth I'm going to do an ellipse, but have it be kind of flat. And so this is going to be a mouth. The reason I did that was because then it has kind of two sides to it. That means you can easily change the shape positions without having to create new points and all this kind of stuff. Okay, so what you do next is we have ellipse here. I'm going to go to ellipse path, right click and go convert to Bezier path. That's just going to create a path shape rather than an ellipse shape. And then I can create a keyframe here. And I can create you have to zoom right in because you want just keyframes for the first 5 frames. So this is going to be the resting point. Then this one here is going to be like an open mouth. Let's zoom in on him as well, just to give me a bit more purchase. So I'm going to open the mouth here like this. Looks like a Muppet, but in any case. So you can see it's just that 1 frame increments. And then the next one I'm going to do is I'm going to actually copy that first keyframe, paste it in there, and I'm going to make a little so you can select the actual points you want, not the. So I'm going to make maybe a sad face. And then maybe a happy face version of it. Okay, so I have those 2 up points selected. And then move it up maybe a little bit overall. Okay, cool. So now we have resting, down, up, happy, and then we might do another one here that's an O shape. So it kind of covers the range of the different mouth shapes you might need for talking, or like even if it's more of a pantomime character to express certain mouth shapes, like that would be interpreted maybe as an emotional response or angry or whatever it might be. Cool. So I'm gonna move this guy down, this guy up a little bit, and then I'm gonna move these 2 guys here at the side in. A bit more there. Just adjusting the paths here for these guys. Make it a bit of a kind of an O shape or a U shape. So there we have like some ingredients for our little mouth on our character. And now the next thing we'll do is maybe edit the eye. So the eye, similar to the mouth, we're gonna have a little blink. And for this eye, I'm actually not gonna do like a white of the eye, just because that kind of complicates things a little bit more in terms of what I have to do to show you how it works. So it makes the demonstration a little bit clearer. I might add some eyebrows to them though as well. Okay, so, or let's see, I'll make his eyes maybe a color. Make them brown, let's say. So for the eyes, same exact thing as the mouth. If you did use the ellipse tool, you'd have to convert it to a Bezier path, and you do that by right-clicking on it where it says ellipse path, convert to Bezier path. And a Bezier path is just basically a path that has the anchor points here, or the description points of the path that are editable. So you can change the orientation of them, the angle of them, how the curves adjust between the points as well. So it's pretty useful. So here I'm just going to drop this down there, and then I'm going to adjust this curve a little bit so the eye closes, and create a keyframe here. Actually, what I did there is I forgot to create the keyframe for the eyes open, so forgive me as I go back. This is often the case that happens as you're building something, you're like, oh, I just need to go back and redo that step. So here is the step of the eye closed, and then we might have an additional one then where the eye is, see, that's left, right, left, up, down. So yeah, I'll put these over here. Doesn't really matter. Yeah, I can just leave them there. So then, yeah, we'll have an additional one here where the eye kind of opens up even more. We do that the same way as we do the ones. Do a little bit of this kind of action here. Okay. And we don't really need to worry about much more, but you can see that the eye kind of pops open a bit. The nose, we're not going to do anything with the nose for this one because it's just really going to show you simple ways to work with it. But the eye is doing what it needs to do, so I'm going to duplicate this eye after renaming it. So this is right eye. I tend to name things based on the character's orientation, not the viewer's orientation. So for the character, this is their right eye. I'm going to duplicate that and call it the left eye, and then just shift it over so it lines up where it kind of should be. Okay, so now what we have is a few keyframe points. I'll actually fill the mouth as well. It's kind of just a dark shade. It doesn't really need to be anything too much. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is do the eye, the mouth here. So we have 5 points for the mouth, center point, left, right point, and up and down points. That's how it translates that little box that we need to create. And so the kind of applet that I use here is called Joysticks and Sliders. And here's what it looks like. So what you do is so you're going to create a new joystick, and what you do is selected layers must have properties with 5 keyframes on the first 5 frames of your timeline, representing the front, right, left, up, and down extremes. So it's front here, right there, left, up, and down. So what I might do is I might swap this around. So this one is actually going to be down, and this one is going to be right. So it'll be like if the box is in the middle, it's there. If the box goes right, it's there. If it goes left, it's there. If it goes up, it's there. And if it goes down, it's there. So you kind of have this kind of a little bit of equivalent kind of a stretching of the face to the positions of the box. I'll actually do one more thing with this guy. I might take his side points in just a small bit, so it feels a bit more like a you know, you don't necessarily need to have it feel more organic or anything like that, but there's little things you can do. It'll feel like the jaw is dragging those sides of the mouth down as it opens. Okay, right, there we go. So yes, we'll select those keyframes and then create a joystick and call it mouth. Cool. So here is the joystick. And now if I bring this joystick up, oh, it's doing, sorry, I have those both layers selected, that was my fault. So B, mouth. Okay. So now just have the joystick selected, not the mouth layer as well, and go up. See the way it's dragging up the face, the mouth, and down. And then you can go a combination of down and left to create a shape like that. It doesn't necessarily work with the shapes, but you can also bring it up like this, and then up left again. So you end up with a mouth like that, the old kind of mouth. You can go like this, up, and create this other weird shape. Again, depending on how you plan the positions and the shapes, you can actually do kind of shape control to control the transition points between them as well, so the acceleration in different ways. So that's like smiling and open mouth. And this is just open mouth. And then we have kind of frowning and open mouth that will transition into like a closed open mouth. So you can see kind of the potential you have to control things in a quite a nuanced way, in terms of you can control things in very small ways or big ways. Yeah, I find it quite useful to do these kind of things if the project obviously it suits the method of animation. Just gonna switch this off. So the next thing we might do is we'll do a keyframe for this guy. So the eye. So we know it's. And we'll double check our positions. I always have to double check here, but the keyframes will be front of the middle, let's say, point. You have a right point, you have a left point, up and down. So here we have the eyes closed. Here we have the eyes open, and open even a bit more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to swap this one over to here. So this is now up. This is now down. And I'm going to do this one, give it another keyframe point here. And this is just so it has maybe another thing as an expression, let's say. I might just get rid of this point here. So, yeah. This is the right, so that's the one on the right. And then we can do the same thing with the other eye as well when we copy it across. So there, that's there, and then this one goes up like this. Okay, so we just have a little bit of variation in the eyes that we're working with. You can do kind of shifty eyes, angry eyes, and then shocked eyes. So I'm just going to copy these into the other eye. Cool. And let's drag them back so they line up properly. So this you can also. I'm going to flip this over so this is on this side. So little things you can do again to massage it so it works. Cool. And then this one too. You can also flip the object, but it gets a bit awkward when you're working with shapes the way it works. So you're gonna have to massage it over rather than flip it. So this way, you're kind of creating all the ingredients you need for the different positions, and depending on the amount of right, left, up or down, and front, you can get a huge range of motion with your objects. Right. Yeah, that kind of does the job. So shift this over a tiny bit. Shift this over. Right. So now we have the eyes here. And we select the eyes. We can make a joystick for these as well. I call it left eye. Just have to do a B in front of it because that's the B character now we've created. Do the same for right eyes. Call it B right eye. And so now we have this little eye here. And you can color code all these elements as well. So this is his right eye, which is there. This is his left eye, which was there. So if I select the control points, I am going to change the color of this as well. I'm going to change the color of this. Switch color. There we go. Oh yeah, just switch on this here. Cool. Just so you can see a little bit better. Right, so here, now if we have these eyes set up, you'll see if we go up, the eyes will stretch up. If we go down, and it's quite a small movement really, the eyes stretch down. We can go left in tandem, and we get this kind of more angry face. We can go up, and it kind of extends out the height of those angry faces. We can also go down and to the right. And you see sometimes there's little artifacts that come up because of the way the shapes aren't quite compatible with each other, but you can largely get quite a few angles going. You can also not work with the eyes separately, or you can work with the eyes separately rather than together. So you can have this eye go over like this eye go over like this, and so you can create a little bit of variation in the expression, and combine that with mouth. You know, see that kind of shape, it looks a bit more demented. Okay, and then the next thing you could do is have eyebrows. So we can throw some eyebrows on them. I might just do one eyebrow first. So this one here, let's say. It's going to be a triangle eyebrow for the sake of it. And same as the story of the other guys. If you go here, go to content shape. Because I did it with a line tool, with the pen tool rather than the ellipse tool, we don't need to convert it to a Bezier path. So you create a path there, keyframe, and you can go here. Okay, we can go adjust these a little bit afterwards. Actually, I think I will adjust this as more of a neutral eyebrow. And I'll just add a bit of a curve there. Cool. So then I'll create keyframes here. And a nice thing we can do actually is basically try and work our keyframes to be compatible with each other. So we know this one needs to go right. So this is the right position. So we go, okay, well, what he might do is he might like tilt his eyebrow down a little bit here. And then bring this down here like this. So he does a little bit of this shape. I might do this with this rather than that. There's a few little artifacts that's created there, but I can actually fix those by going into the stroke. Rather than doing a miter join or a butt cap, I can have it do a round cap and a round join. So it kind of just makes things a little bit more stable, rather than being changing it a lot when it gets to using the Beziers and a line on top of those Beziers. It can get a little bit finicky. So bring this guy up a little bit, maybe bring him down a little bit like this. Okay, so you can see the expression changing. And we can also do another version here where the eyebrows comes down. And apart from like being limited by the 5 in individual systems here, you can also set up alternate versions that have other permutations that you can swap in and swap out. So it's quite versatile overall, even if it can seem like a bit of a pain. It just really depends on where the time needs to be spent for the project and what the nature of the project is. Like if you know there's this character that you need to use a lot, you might do something like this in order to set up the elements so the animation speed is quicker. Otherwise, you might do something a bit more economical, just doing what you need to do for each shot, rather than having to do all of the permutations, and then you may not end up even using them all. So then here it's going to do a kind of arced brow. I'll just bring it up a little bit as well. So overall, cool. And then here, let's see. Yeah, I'll just do an angled up. So that should be down really. So this one that goes that way. This will go the other way. This down. It's over here a little bit. And this up. I'll just adjust these arcs. So there you see you have a little bit of range of motion in the eyebrows. And it's surprising how little you need really to get performances out of even if it's an ellipse. So I'll create my little joystick here and call it the this is right eyebrow. Right brow. Cool. And so now if I select the shape, we'll move this as well. So I tend to like set up the eyebrows above the eyes when I'm doing these little arrangement of these boxes. And then I can move this eye down like so to really add it to those shapes. Or I can move it up like this. So he looks a bit more gentle or less evil looking. You can see how the eyebrows moving along the spaces here. He looks a bit concerned there, and so on. So really, it's kind of a nice way to have a little toolbox of parts you can move around with. And there are kind of very sophisticated things you can achieve with it. Like for instance, you can actually do color shifts as part of your hue adjustments. So if you had a character walking from like a dark, like one color to another color, but it wasn't as simple as like using an overlay mode on the layer above, or using like an adjustment layer to shift the hues or anything like that. If the object is a shape layer, you can actually use it to manually change the colors based on another joystick you create. And I can show you another example of that actually. So let's see. I might just do a small bit of digging first. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. Right, it should open up here. So this is just another test I did with the same principle as what I just showed you there. And you can see with the joysticks and sliders how it moves between things. Here, if it will render for me, it should render. Come on, baby. Oh yeah, I think I was testing the hand still, but yeah, so the hands are doing a bit of business there with their different positions, but the head is the main thing. Yeah, the head is all done. Cool. And it can get quite complicated if you have loads of layers. So by all means, there's certain things you can do to minimize your workload. Take them by all means. No, there's no need to make your life harder than it needs to be. It can get a bit heavy on render if you've got lots of very complicated things happening with the trigonometry and the geometry and how it you weight to certain positions. But you can do quite sophisticated things if you do push it to breaking point. So here you can see I finished the head, and the body actually changes in time with the head. So when he transforms, the body actually bulks up a little bit around the neck and along the chest. And it's all synced with the transformation, so I don't need to try and do them individually. They all are controlled by the same controller. And that is, which one is it again? Oh yes, it's synced to the face controller. So the face, as the face progresses towards like the wolf kind of transformation, it basically shifts the colors, and with the colors, it also shifts the bulk of the neck and the body of the character. And the neck and the body can still be animated separate to those elements in a cutout style, and they will work, and they will grow, and they will change color and hue and all those kind of things, still dependent on the joysticker. So there's things you can do that are kind of mutually independent, but that can work in combination. So there's another one as well I can show you, but it might be a bit heavy to show you live. I'll see if I can. It was basically an attempt to see how far I could take this methodology without breaking it, and I kind of broke it. So let's see. Where are we? Okay. 17th of the 2nd. If it doesn't play back properly, I can show you a video clip instead. But the tricky thing to do with this kind of methodology is actually line work is a bit more of a headache than other elements. So this I tried to basically mimic a way of doing like a kind of animated illustration style rather than a discrete character that you can animate in different ways. Is more important to do. Actually, I should probably render this at. So it's a bit easier to see. I'll switch off some of these things. Okay, so basically the character here on your right is set up with head turns in the same way as the other characters are, all controlled by these switches over here, these joysticks, and the blinks as well, and the eyebrows and everything else. But it's very much more specific to the requirements of this scene. So I know that, I wanted kind of quite slow, subtle movements, but I didn't want to have to actually animate them all because it's a pain in the arse. So what I did was I set up the cardinal points based on the key posing needed for the character, and then layered the scene in the way that would work. So I did the hair, the cheeks, the eyes, the brows, the nose, the head, and even I started actually rigging the character in the background as well. On the left, their hand is actually set up to like rig with the character, and the idea would be that as the character on the right head goes down, the character on the left, they kind of come together a little bit closer to kind of embrace. So yeah, you can kind of see the benefit of maybe doing stuff like this. The eyes, I'll zoom in here if I can. Let's see. So you can kind of do quite subtle little things with the eyes if you set it up correctly. So you see that there's little bulges in the eye as the eye flickers left and right. That can be quite useful for fine control. If again, the whole process of doing 2D animation is just tiring. Yeah, that kind of maybe gives you an idea of the things you can do with it, either as more of a motion graphics, simple shape transformations, to maybe a character, to maybe a full character rig, and then perhaps more like this, where it's basically set up as a key illustration kind of method to translate from one position and another position while maintaining the style. So this character themselves there. If I stop it here, and I'll see. I might duplicate this. Okay. And then let's get rid of these keyframes here. Okay. So, and I will full screen this. Okay. So, change the background. Okay, maybe that doesn't. It's not as readable. Okay, so what you have here then is, this is the eyebrows, I believe. How much was this? That might be the left eye, actually, sorry. That's not the eye, that is the... Just because I don't have the layer labels visible here, just 1 second. Yeah, that's the left eye pupil. So, okay. So then we have here, this is the main action of the head. So you can see it takes a little bit while for it to calculate it, but once you have it set up, you know it's going to be accurate. We can have the head tilt up, but it won't move, like, it doesn't necessarily work beyond a few degrees that I've set it up for, because of how specific I wanted those angles described. So this is kind of one of the limitations I was talking about, because it's not like it's a full 3D puppet or anything like that, but I knew that I wanted a kind of a 3D effect, but more of a graphic 3D where it was interpreting the space. And so you can see the head turns. So it's not like a proper 3D model where it's limited a little bit by the construction of like Euclidean space. The head goes down, the hair goes up with the head. And there's some points at which this breaks as well, because I knew it didn't necessarily need to work fully in all these angles. I just needed enough to control the points of the head to do what I needed to do. So if we have that set up, and so now this is the eyes. So the eyes also control the eye white to a certain extent. So if I move this eye white this way, come on, baby. Oh, actually, you don't need to do it with that one. Sorry. Oh, that's the hand. Okay, it's my fault now. Okay, so they're kind of slaved together a little bit. Wow. Check the labels of this one. This is the eye white. I haven't looked at this file in probably a year, so this one is okay. So this is the brow. Render for me, maybe. But yeah, you can kind of see from moving these changes around. I think I just might need to update the linking of some of the elements here, but you can see once I get back to the little animated version of it. You can see the effect that these elements have as they're animated across screen. And moving elements around, like they're kind of anchored together to a certain extent, so that the head moving up changes the eyebrows, the head moving down changes the eyebrows, the head moving left and right changes the eyebrows, but then the eyebrow itself can also change within that. And I also have some guides set up as well for how to orient everything together so it works. Just going to change the background color so you can see these switches moving around. Okay. Oh, this one. A little troublesome one. And I'm going to change the color of this to be something that you can see a bit easier. So now if I play this through, you can see how those eyes, the eyebrows, so the eyebrows are at the top, the eye white is the green ones here, the red is the pupil. So you can see that they move in tandem with the blinks. The green, kind of lime green one here, that is for the overall head movement. So you can see it moves down in a little bit of an arc. So it's kind of using a combination of the left, the bottom left, and the bottom, and a little bit more to the right. So through that, you can kind of see how it's doing quite slow action that's quite easy to keyframe and adjust without you kind of killing yourself having to do lots of animation. So you can start off with the global movement first, and then you can slowly add the accents of, okay, when does the character blink? When does the character like bring in their eyebrows or kind of squint their face or whatever they might be doing? And then from there, you can finesse things and build things on top without having to kind of figure out everything from the start and redraw everything each time you do a new pass or add new details. Not that obviously this is suitable for things that are for all projects, but I think it's kind of useful to know their possibilities. So I'm going to share in the group the website for joysticks and sliders if you wanted to have a mess around with it. But you can do a lot of things just by using keyframes with shape layers to draw the layers you want and having to interpret the positions. This kind of stuff is just useful for more of a consistent way of moving a character, let's say, or moving a shape consistently from one shape to another interpretation of that shape. But yeah, these are all just natively created within After Effects. The three projects I showed you, the three projects. So it was nothing, brought in from outside. It was maybe I did some sketches on paper and Photoshop to figure out some design stuff. But once I figured out the design, I'm like, okay, well, I kind of just have to figure out the angles then, and the colors and all this kind of thing to get it working in the After Effects kind of workspace. Cool. So now, does anyone have any questions? That's about all I was going to run through today. It's okay if you don't. I hope the remainder of the work you're getting to finish up your haiku project comes together well. So I might just finish up that here. I'll stop the share. And I'll stop the recording. So thanks again, everyone. And keep me posted if there's any trouble today with like getting the last bits across the finish line. But otherwise, I'll be chatting to you next week. Okay. Best of luck. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
No worries.